nggak nyala hijau lagi, kalau tetap hidup kan ini udah. Good afternoon, Excellencies, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the first International Conference on Management and Sustainable Environment. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sabrina, and it is a precious chance for me to be the master of ceremony in this special event. The Honorable Mr. Radian Dananjoyo, SA, MM, MSc, PhD, as the chairman of the first ICOMSE 2024. Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam as the first keynote speaker today from University Malaysia. Dr. Halimin Herianto as the second keynote speaker today from Marymount University, Arlington, United States of America, and all the excellencies and participants attend in today's event. Before we start the agenda, let's reciting our gratefulness to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given us His grace in the form of guidance, happiness, health, and mercy, so that we can attend and participate in this special event without any obstacles. Salawat and salam upon our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who had brought us from the path of the darkness to the path of the light. On this special event, we have several agenda as follows. The first is opening. The second agenda is singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and March of Muhammadiyah Sang Surya. The third agenda is reciting the Holy Quran. The fourth agenda is speech from the chairman of the first ICOMSE. The fifth agenda is the plenary session followed by discussion. The seventh agenda is parallel session, and the last is closing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin this event by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The next agenda is singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya and March of Muhammadiyah Sang Surya. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and stand our national anthem. Move on to the next agenda, which is the recitation of Holy Quran, who will be recited by Hafiz Khairan. Time and place is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A'udzu billahi minasy syaithanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina ليغفر لك الله ما تقدم من ذنبك وما تأخر ويتم نعمته عليك ويهديك صراطا مستقيما وينصرك الله نصرا عزيزا هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم ولله جنود السماوات والأرض وكان الله عليما حكيما ليدخل المؤمنين والمؤمنات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها ويكفر عنهم سيئاتهم وكان ذلك عند الله فوزا عظيما ويعذب المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات الظانين بالله ظن السوء عليهم دائرة السوء وغضب الله عليهم ولعنهم وأعد لهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you for Hafiz Khairan, who has recited the Holy Quran. May Allah always bless us. Amin. Now, we are going to listen to the speech that will be delivered by the chairman of the ICOMSE 2024. Please welcome Mr. Radian Dananjoyo, SA, MSc, PhD.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain amma ba'du. Dear all participants, first of all I would like to say greatest appreciation for all of author and also our honorable speakers. We have four honorable speakers. The first one is Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam. Second one is Dr. Vivek Chaudhary from National Technology University. The third one is Dr. Halimin Heryanto and the third one is Dr. Anida Robani. On behalf of the first ICOMSE 2024 Organizing Committee, I am honored and delighted to welcome you to the first International Conference on Management and Sustainable Environment. I know that the success of the conference depends ultimately on the many people who have worked with us and wide variety of ideas that scholars and practitioners will bring into our fold. Currently, creative commerce is the most influential sector of the global economy with a powerful transformative force for sustainable business development. Therefore, there are many sectors on product and services that represent creative content, technology, cultural, value, and market objectives. These sectors rely on idea, knowledge, skill, traditional livelihood. Based on this phenomena, the theme for this year's conference are developing management and sustainable environment in the era of digital transformation. The scope for this conference contains of marketing management, financial management, human resources management, operation management, entrepreneurship, and also digital business. I hope that this conference will allow the participants a productive discourse not only in managing business opportunities, but also in managing creative and business development. The key success factors that contribute to a new pathway for digital entrepreneurship development are the availability of infrastructure and labor resources, the existence of legislation protecting intellectual property, and the availability access to global market. In this regard, new fields and domain in digital entrepreneurship in its relation with the sustainable business development need to be explored, examined, and discussed further to understand how local business are shaped by and shaping the global business. For this reason, we are holding an international conference and invite all scholars from all over the world to discuss these issues. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I sincerely hope you will enjoy the next 2 days debate and networking. Thank you for your participation. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Radian, for the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, let's move forward to the plenary session 1 and 2, which will be delivered by Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam as the first keynote speaker from University Malaysia and Dr. Vivek Chaudhary from Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. But before we welcome our speakers, this session will be guided directly by our precious moderators. Please welcome Mr. Bagus Aditya, SP, MBA.
Good afternoon, all ladies and gentlemen, all participants. I'm so happy to welcome you here today. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Best wishes for all of you. I do hope you are always in your prime. Alhamdulillah, today we are gathered in this precious plenary session. And I already have with me the first speaker, and I would like to introduce him to all of the participants. The first honorable speaker for today's session is Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam. At first, I thought MD is medical doctor. So can you clarify later on? I see your smile is very nice also, Dr. Mahmudul, Alhamdulillah. So Dr. Muhammad Mahmudul Alam is an associate professor of finance and a senior research fellow at University Utara, Malaysia. He also holds the position of associate fellow at University Technology, MARA, and he's a registered financial planner and a certified expert in climate adaptation finance. So I can give you a personal call later on to consult on my business, Professor. And he earned his PhD from the National University of Malaysia and completed postdoctoral research under the Adaptation Finance Fellowship Program. It is a joint initiative of the Frankfurt School and Thailand Development Research Institute. And he's currently ranked the topmost #1 in the accounting and finance researcher category in Malaysia by the AD Scientific Index 2024. And he was also honored by the BDRC as one of the top Bangladesh development researchers of the millennium. And he has received several awards from Elsevier, Emerald, Wiley, and Web of Science, and you name it. I think Dr. Mahmudul already been in the field for quite some time and has received so many recognition for his work. And he has more than 2 million readers on various online repository platforms, and his research areas encompass financial markets, financial literacy, Islamic finance, sustainable finance, and sustainable development. How are you today, Dr. Mahmudul Alam? This is also, I want to check your not. Alhamdulillah, nice and clear. We can hear you and we can see your smile. That is really comforting for me, Alhamdulillah. Or is it because a special event today, Doctor? So without any further ado, Dr. Mahmudul Alam, later on you will talk deeper about green business and the future of sustainability, probably in Indonesia. So the stage is yours, Doctor. Yes.
sector, sustainable palm oil, and it's around 2.4 million hectares. It's the largest. And then if you look the natural beauty of the country that attract people, that around 5.5% of Indonesian total GDP. Okay, and then huge job is there, like 12.7 million job. So this green initiatives and green scope, government thinks for the future how it can grow. So they take the initiative of the Vision 2045, and one of the very ambitious Vision 2060, that's to achieve the net zero emission. So there will be no pollution, no CO2. That's a very big ambition. And all over the world, people take lots of big ambitions, but it's not easy. And with these ambitions, the government also initiated to circular economy, where they minimize the waste, maximize the resource use. And then in the Vision 2045, they also initiated to change a huge infrastructural plan. So to change huge infrastructure of the country, especially the green infrastructure, set up the green infrastructure. So infrastructure is a big sector and it's almost cover many areas, including the transportations, energy sector, and also the green places, locations. And then green is not just the economy, it's also linked with the social. And then humans should include here, and then the priority is more equitable society, more financially inclusive society, and sharing the benefit among all the people. And at the same time, Indonesia want to set up a model for the whole world, especially the emerging countries or at least the ASEAN countries, to show their initiative as a climate pioneer. And by 2045, their initiative, their plan to reach the 31% energy mix. The renewable energy reached 31%, which is 2025 is 23%. And 2045 is 31%. And then they want to also increase the forest coverage that maintain 30% of the landscape. And another initiative is introducing more electronic vehicles, like the 20% of renewable cells. And then I already mentioned the reductions of the waste, that 30% reduction of waste and 70% recycling rate. So they expect is a circular economy with net zero. So that's a very ambitious plan, targeting 2045 and 2060. And when the government make this plan of the green economy, they also see how it create the other opportunity in the economy, including the job market. We have lots of young people, and enrolling them in the job market is a big challenge for the government. So by 2030, according to the ILO estimation, only the green economy will create 24 million jobs in Indonesia. And then only the energy sector, if you look at the solar energy sector alone, it can create 0.2 million jobs. And this renewable energy is now very high in focus. At the same time, other renewable or sustainable relevant industries or sectors like agriculture, sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, green constructions, waste management, and also environmental counseling, this sector will grow very fast in the next few years up to 2030. So that's the estimations of the ILO that only green economy creates a huge job market in the country. And then government take the initiative to flourish this sector to make it more green. So green is not just a color, it's green is in action. So they take the initiatives to make the businessmen involved here, academicians involved here, and next generation, the next future youth to trained up through academia. So the business should be the green, and the worker who will work in future, they should understand the green mechanism, trained up properly through the vocational training programs or university programs or skill development programs. So government takes lots of initiatives to embed green in the skill development, in the human capital development process. And then if we look from the green economy, then we go the green business. Green economy is a very wide prospect regarding the whole nation, and business play a very key role to achieve the economic goal. And business occupy very big portions of the whole economy that spans from the micro enterprise to the corporation. So there is a huge scope for all the business, and to survive in the business, they also need to incorporate the sustainable mechanism, that means environmental sustainable mechanism in their business practice. So normally now, if we look at present, if we look the sustainable practice of the business, that actually we mean the corporation, those who are practicing the ESG, environmental, social, and governance, and we see their index in the stock market. However, this is a very big matter, and its essence and utilization is a very wide. Rather than we see in the practice, it's a very narrow down now because there are lots of constraints. But however, if we look the issue, how can we incorporate it in the other business sectors, like the SMEs, the micro enterprises, and the other business practices? So to incorporate this in the different sectors of business, we try to see how green business perform in every departments of the business or every subsector of the business. Suppose the finance, marketing, accounting. So green is a holistic concept. It cannot be just a product itself. And to achieve this product, you need to ensure the whole process. And in the process, green investment is there. You see the Indonesia has a huge green investment project. In 2021 is 4.6 billion, the green investment. And they also have project with the World Bank and ADB for the green financing. And the sustainable financing projects are growing there. And then if you look the management perspective, previously management considered green as a social responsibility, CSR. But now corporations need to embed it with their regular practice. And if you look the ESG or other standard, GRI standard, they put it in a way that you cannot exclude the green mechanism from your regular business. So it's included in your governance, it's included your overall earnings and environmental practice. So it's also nowadays the HRM also include the green practice. And then there's a green HRM. And supply chain is also a very big issue now. They're looking the whole supply chains and try to trace the green issue here from the very beginning, from the raw materials, from every aspects of the supply to the end users product. The product life cycle includes the green mechanism, and that's has the contributions in the circular economy. Then if you look the marketing perspective, now there is a green labeling. The customers are also very aware about the environmental side effect of the product. So green branding is a big matter now, and it's not just a eye wash, but it's a real matter nowadays. And consumers are also aware and educating themselves. They look at the label, they compare the product based on the environmental issues. So the marketing has made lots of change in their old concept. Then if you look at accounting is the key area who count the sustainability practice, especially the record of the pollutions, record of the emissions, record of the footprint of the corporation of the business. So accounting measurement is very important, and now green accounting is also very highly limelighted. And they look the environmental cost and then integrated in the financial system. That's also environmental management accounting, and there's how they take the decision based on the environmental cost and benefit. And there's big challenges also relevant to these practices. And the challenges come from the many perspectives. For the policy perspective, there is a lack of coordination, lack of capacity, transparency, and multiple groups has their conflicting interest. From the financing perspective, it's need huge investment. And also we need green products. The financial tools need to be green, and that's may not available for all the business practices. And the technology needs to almost change everything for all the sector, for all the industry need to change the technology, and it need huge infrastructural changes. And then come to the human, the social justice, and then community engagement, and health and well-being, and indigenous people's rights are also a big challenge to ensure at the same time. And for the researcher, in our perspective, those who are working on this issue, we feel very much stressed because there is no standardized data. The data people are reporting is in many ways that are not unique patterns and not standardized. And most cases it's not trustworthy. And the business also don't report the data because it's very expensive to measure and also expensive to report. And if we look at our objective, the ambition is 2016 net zero gain. To achieve these objectives, all the stakeholders need to work together. And then if you look at the recommendation for all the stakeholders, the implementation comes from the policymakers' perspective. They impose the law, impose the tools, mechanism, make the private public partnership to collaboratively done it, and then comprehensively monitor and evaluate the transparency and accountability of the whole process. And for the financing and investment, nowadays the investors are very aware about their return, future return. The future return for the green product compared to the conventional product is high because the sustainability is highly prioritized now. So government policy will link the fine and environmental management, so they can make a rules regulation, arrange some tax mechanism and subsidy mechanism, fine mechanism that will make the business practice the environment, practice the green. So the green to arrange the green business, business need the money. And the financial institutions, green banking product is there. But the green banking product, there's lots of challenge of designing the green banking product, green financial instrument, because nowadays still green means it's just a buzzword. As long as we are not capable to report the data properly, we cannot come in a standardized process. It's like a initiative, it's not an implementation phase. But many actors, stakeholders are already aware about this issue. So financial investors are the starting point, those who are looking for the green product. So the stock markets and the financial market will initiate the green products and push it to the business. And then need to make huge changes in infrastructure, technology, and innovation. Business need to invest lots on the R&D and train up their staffs, and also report the data properly through proper infrastructure setup. And to this setup, they need international collaboration, because the technology, we don't have enough technology. As an emerging country, we are a little bit behind the R&D. So we need to make collaborations with developed nation. For some cases, South-South cooperation is also fine, the developing country cooperation. And we also need to cooperate with the finance, the International Financing Agency, like Climate Change Fund, Environmental Fund, and also the regional collaborations of the ASEAN Center of Energy, international institutions. So these cooperations are very important to strengthen the overall achievement that promising COP28 or other international bodies. So that will help the government to implement the overall through cooperations regionally and globally. And then the third stakeholders, major stakeholders of the academia, those who we are involved in the academia, the conference participants are from the academia mostly. We need to integrate, understand, and make the bridge between the policy and the practice, and design our curriculum, design our training material, design our educational material syllabus in a way that will serve the green economy, that will create the labor, those who can contribute in the economy, not in the conventional way, but the green concept will be in their understanding. So here the school mechanism, our research mechanism, and then our syllabus will include the green issues. And then there are lots of research area in this green mechanism that's mentioned here. Those who need, you can see it later because I don't have that much time. But I just say that if we, the academia, look the green analysis, green issue in our syllabus and embed it for the students, that's the key point to hit for the accelerate the overall green process in future, because this student will contribute the economy later. But it's not easy, because so far the challenge is very strong here. We are far behind, especially the academic curriculum development and syllabus development. We embed the green in the academia, but that's a different curriculum. That's like a different subject or different course, different degree. But we need to incorporate the green issue under every curriculum, every subject. So the students who get the idea from here, they will, any discipline, the students come from any discipline, they can contribute in the green economy. So green should be included in every discipline, every courses, the syllabus. But it's not easy. We are highly occupied based on our conventional teaching method, teaching materials, teaching approach, conventional grading process. So which we need use changes. When we check the green, we just always look the green economy, green business, infrastructure change, but in our side, the academia, we need more green-oriented research and also include in our so I invite the policymakers, businessmen, also our academia to take the proper action so we can achieve the net zero goal within our targeted time 2060. And that's not a easy job, but through collaboration, we can do it. And I hope you enjoy the content. If you have any other questions, then you can ask me later. Thank you everyone for your patience.
One, two, three, test. Can everybody hear my voice? Thank you, Doctor, for the insightful presentation. And now we will have more or less 15 minutes, and I will invite all the participants to have a fruitful discussion, hopefully with Professor Mahmadul. What should I call you, Doctor?
Mahmoud is fine.
Okay. So I give the audience 15 minutes to post a question, probably you want to sharing or you want to share your thoughts on this, and we will have more or less 15 minutes. Please, all participants. While waiting for their response, Doctor, I myself is also a part of SME Association in Indonesia. And this issue has been quite a debate among all the business people, especially within my community. And some of them, or if I may say most of them, still consider the concept of green business and green economy as a myth. And what have you said in your presentation before about the shared responsibility between the business person and then the government and then the academia as well, how to have a common program to foster this insight to be such an applicable concept is quite challenging. Based on your experience, Doctor, is there any best example of approach for those shareholders to make this concept as an applicable event?
Yes, actually the businessmen move by money. It's very simple. Whatever we say that environmental practice, social practice, that's actually not so much concern for them. They are here to make money. It's very simple. Profit-making people. Their orientation is to make profit. So when it's a market mechanism, you need to go through the market mechanism rather than just talking. If you look, those business who go for the green practices, they are pioneer in this area. And then if you see within few years, when the government impose rule once after another, and the companies also moving to change slowly, customers are going to very aware about the environmental issue, they will feel automatically pressure. And the issue is those who take the initiative early and those who take the first move, they will be the leader in the market and they can get the benefit in future. And those who are slow or don't want to change, they cannot survive in the market. Because if you look the policy, government rules regulation, suppose if you look the bulb, previously there was a filament bulb, you round filament bulb, if you remember. Then governments make it take huge energy. So they make invest in the innovation, and then come with the tube light. And then say still it's not enough. Then now it's the LED light. And then those who are not going in this process, but is still stuck with the old technology and old mechanism, they already as extinct from the market. Their business is over. Many bulb companies already over from the market because they are not able to adapt with the system. Same like the technology. If you remember, there are many technology companies like the Nokia phone or the Kodak. They are very good business at that time, but now they extinct because they didn't understand the market. So when the customer demands something different, when the policy wants something different, and you don't act accordingly, you cannot survive in the market. But if you see those who act properly and take the initiative, they are the market leader and they survive with a better return in the market. So if the businessmen understand the sense, they slowly invest in the R&D and change it. Without you change the infrastructure, you cannot do it. But change means cost. You need lots of investment and expenditure. But nobody like it. Only things can motivate them if you understand the future gain. So if you show them the future benefit, because the futures are moving in that direction, they cannot go in the opposite way, then they will take the initiative and change accordingly.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. That's quite interesting, especially when we're talking about SME. They always put cost first on top of everything. So they were like, oh, I have to spend some amount of money, quite significant amount of money, to change my business into somewhat relevant to the green economy concept. But that is a very important remark that you've made, that we have to convince them on the future benefit as well of this changing, of this. I think it's quite logical to see that if you're not willing to move or you're not willing to change, then probably, like you said, the extinction will come to you. Okay, let's see on the chat session, is there any question from the audience? Okay. There's still, I haven't seen any question yet.
Pak Didit, can I have?
Okay, please. Your time, Ibu Endah.
Okay, thank you, Pak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Mahmud, for your interesting sharing today. And I would like to have your further opinion about the green business that you just explained to us. When we use the term of green business, in my opinion, it means that there is dichotomy between green and not green business. And in my opinion, when we use the term of green business, it means that we differentiate our business from those who are not green. And also, we know that every differentiation will require additional costs, that it will also have impact on the customer, and it will limit the affordability of the customer. So, what do you think, Doctor, about those who provide or who serve low income market, or let's say bottom of the pyramid market, which usually have limited affordability? Is it possible for those to keep using this green strategy for their business? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, India. Actually, the green is a wide concept that I mentioned. It's business has do lots of practices, including the marketing, finance, investment, supply chain, and product itself, and their HRM practice. Their initial things, internal thinking is also relevant to the green. So in that perspective, business we have time. It's not to rush. Just we need to implement everything in one day. And nobody can do it because it's a long-term phenomenon. And we have targeted 2060. Now it's 2024, and it's still lots of time to achieve it slowly. But you should have the initiative to achieve one by one. Otherwise, you will be far behind from the market. And then, if you achieve one thing, you already achieve it. You can do it slowly. And then at the initial period, government also give the tax holiday, subsidy, and now easy financing for the green project. So people will encourage to go green. And then slowly within the next 10, 20, 15 years, it will increase more. It's not necessary to do everything now, and because that's need all types of capacity, including infrastructure, technology, human. So as a this is a journey. It's not to achieve in one day. It's a journey. We can achieve it over the time. But if we don't understand it now, if we don't initiate it now, that will never happen. And those who initiate earlier, they will be the pioneer in the market. They suppose I bring a new product. Those is expensive. I can say I'm the pioneer in the market, and then I'll be always ahead than my competitor. That's the way businessmen should think.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Ibu Indah, for the questions. I hope that is opening a new insight as well. And you look wonderful, by the way, Ibu Indah, today, just like you always do. Okay, one more time. For the audience, is there any further questions on the said subject? I'm still waiting for your responses. And for the committee, can you please show me on the chat room, is there any question from the audience on this subject? Okay. I see that there's no questions so far. So, Dr. Mahamadul, thank you very much once again for your wonderful presentation, and it is adding up new insight as well for us in the practical world, that we need to somehow have a shared responsibility with all the shareholders to foster the green economy concept to be able to be applied fully in our country to foster or to support our future. So thank you very much once again. I will see you soon, Doctor, inshallah, and best wishes
Thank you, Mr. Bagus.
for you.
Okay, thank you so much. See you. And I also want to see the audience. I just only see you.
You want to see the audience? Please, the committee, can you show Dr. Mahamadul
Later
all
on,
the
when
audience?
there is a scope, you can just move the camera once to see the people. Okay, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum.
Yeah, okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is the first of our session. Then moving on, I will check first whether Dr. Vivek is already here with us.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon, Dr. Vivek.
Good afternoon. Am I?
Oh, it's so good to hear that you're in your best shape today. And you were my ex-neighbor because I live in Bedok several years. I live in Singapore for 3 years, Professor. And I watch NTU a lot because, yeah, Singapore, if we go somewhere, NTU is always on our path, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guests, today the next session is already here with us, Dr. Vivek Chaudhary. and he's an assistant professor of information technology and operation management in NTU, Singapore. And then he got his PhD in technology and operation management in INSEAD. Yes, doctor. And then previously you got your Bachelor and Master of Technology in Mechanical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology. And then you have research interest on empirical behavioral operations problems, and then human AI collaboration and healthcare. And Professor Vivek also has teaching interest in data science, business analytics, machine learning, operation management, and supply chain management. And you already have so many publications here and so many awards. Some of them is Best Paper Award in Singapore Rising Scholar Conference in 2024, finalist on Junior Scholar Paper from CBOM, POMS on 2004, and so many other awards that I cannot read it one by one, otherwise we will finish in the middle of the night because of your achievement, Doctor. And Dr. Vivek also has industry experience in McKinsey & Company as a consultant, I think, in India and Indonesia, in ITC Limited as well on 2007 until 2013 as operations manager. So more or less you're in how to make the company strategically operating in the best way possible, and you're also expert in operation in general. Is it correct, Professor?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So without any further ado, Professor, the stage is yours, and enjoy it, our beloved ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. And I wanted to thank the organizers, as well as particularly Radian, my good friend and a fellow faculty at UMI, for hosting me. This is my second time. So for everyone, I have spent a lot of time in Indonesia. So I spent 1.5 years in Indonesia, and it has been the pleasure. It's beautiful country, beautiful people, and I learned a lot. And I always look forward to opportunities to connect to you. And I'm looking forward to having a good conversation with you. So just let me share my screen and I will talk about it. All right. So let me share my screen and I hope you can see it. Can anyone just let me know if you can see that title slide, and then we can talk about it. Yeah, fantastic. All right. So hello everyone. I will try to, in the next 30 minutes, give you a little sense of what is operations management, which is my area of work. Is going to be in the age of technology. And I'm going to give you a lot of examples from my own work. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you. And I'm looking forward to having a dialogue with you in this manner. If you are interested in any of these studies, please let me know. I'll provide the full details. My website is up. You can send me an email and I'll be very happy to connect with you. So let me get started and talk about operations management in the age of technology. So as I was introduced, I am Vivek, and this name is very common in Indonesia. They used to get confused with Bebek, but this is pronounced as Vivek. And I am a business school operations management faculty. I've done my PhD and I'm from INSEAD, and I'm a mechanical engineer from IIT. Most important about me is basically before joining the operations management, I had some 8.5 years experience in the industry. And what do? I try to use research methods such as field experiments, econometrics, lab experiment, as well as natural experiments. So all types of experiments to understand some of the critical areas, for example, human behavior, and in particular, how drivers are going to behave when they interact with technology. And when I say drivers, I mean drivers who are delivering food, who are dropping you from point A to point B, as well as they are moving goods and people in general. The next area that I work on is human and AI collaboration. So there is a lot of chatter now on new technology called AI or artificial intelligence and how it is going to interact with human managers. And the last area that I work on is technology implementation in healthcare. You'll see that on 23rd of October, the team from UMI led by Professor Radian came, and it was an absolute pleasure to host such beautiful intelligent mind. I have always loved my interactions with Indonesian student, and every single meetings that I had, and I'm looking forward to having more of this. So let me go back and talk about a little bit about so let me talk about a little bit about what is called as the transition of operations management over time. So what has happened that operations management is more than 250 years old. So in the last 250 years, it started with mechanization or production through steam. And then we moved to electrification, where we had started mass production and the goods became a little cheaper and more accessible to masses. Then in the third revolution of automation happened, where we have a lot more computers started coming into the picture and started from in the last 50 years. Now, the next phases of operations management has moved very quickly. For example, in the last 2020, we see that Internet of Things started picking up significantly very high and more intelligent machines. On top of that, you will realize that now there is a lot of chatter about generative AI, like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc. And a lot of things on personalization. So all the platforms, all the companies want to personalize the goods and services for individuals. And this plays a very important role for everyone, that there is a new technology coming very quickly, and how does it impact? And I'll talk about these three important technologies. One is high-speed internet. I don't know, when I grew up, there was no much internet accessibility, and whatever internet was there, it was very slow. So you cannot talk about, like, video calls are impossible to do. I cannot do calls or talks like this 20 years ago, but now because of the high-speed internet and so much people are getting access to it, it has completely changed the way we connect to each other. Social media was not possible a long time ago, even if there were social media websites available. The second thing which has impacted by technology, or the new technology, is machine learning. So a lot of predictions, a lot of forecasting started coming into picture. And then the last year shows a different way of AI, that is generative AI. So now you can talk to AI, you can generate content, you can generate songs, you can generate writings, you can generate articles, you can ask, and almost like a talk to the AI. And there are plenty of applications. But let's go and think about what is the history telling us about impact of technology for productivity. So there are three technologies that I talked about. The first was this high-speed internet. And it was found that for a lot of productivity improvement, it was anticipated, it did not happen just because of internet. And if you want, you can put your on the chat, what do you think why this happened? And the second one is, again, artificial intelligence has not increased the productivity it was anticipated it to be. And if you have followed the share market last couple of days, you will realize there was a strong selling of AI and generative AI shares happened. So, and there are some studies which shows that if generative AI, we are expecting the productivity to be much more than it can actually bring. So are we too optimistic? So feel free to, by the way, having any questions, put it in the chat. So what was the reason why did internet did not do well? So the biggest problem of that is coming from a lot of investment went to entertainment. For example, providing you social media, providing you Netflix, providing you videos, online videos and chats. And the impact also was there significantly on creating a virtual world. For example, you can stay connected to your friends through your phones. And not all the benefits of the internet went to industries to improve productivity. Similar thing we saw in machine learning, that people anticipated that we were too optimistic, and many businesses, many industries were not ready to adopt machine learning and predictive tools. The third one is basically generative AI. Now it is too early to comment that whether they are going to produce or improve significant productivity. But one thing which is coming as a question is the cost of implementation of generative AI tools may be very high, and running these GPUs, which goes behind the hardware that goes behind running these generative AI tools. So there are many reasons for not a positive impact. And one of the things that I study particularly in this area is human behavior, and how decision making has an impact on when technology is not able to provide or impact significantly high, and human behavior and decision-making process come on the way. So let's talk about why human behavior and decision-making is so unique. And the first thing we need to think about is 2 million years ago, when we were hunters and gatherers, we developed skills that helped us let us survive for a long duration. For example, we use less energy to make decisions. So you realize there are so many tools which are now makes you help making like very big decisions on a click. For example, whom to make a friend. Let's say if you remove the social media, now if you go to school, it used to take a lot more time to build friends. Now in social media, just press connect and you're connected, you can talk. The next one is little bit of stress followed by reward is addictive. So you'll realize that when you scroll an app, that is the stress, that what am I going to see the next? And the reward that you're going to see is the next article or next picture or next video. And this is very addictive. So you will notice that when you're watching YouTube, one question would be to think that why, when you look at longer videos, you may stop feeling bored after a while, but on the shorts, you can actually spend, on the reels, you can spend 45 minutes without even realize. So how much time you have already spent. So because it's basically a little bit of stress and then followed by a reward is addictive. The next thing I wanted to check to tell you that what helped us survive is transfer learning. So let's say if we know how to protect ourselves from a particular animal, it used to help us whenever we go to a different location, it will help us to protect ourselves. So we'll start developing tools. So we'll transfer the learning from one to another. If we know how to grow wheat, we know how to grow rice, for example. So basically it's called a transfer learning, and it is extremely important for our survival. The most important part again is, as a humans, we are social. So if everybody likes my video, I feel good about it. If I have to give a talk, I will put it on the social media to also showcase that, look, my talk, my own work is very important. So it gives you also a sense of power. So there are many things which basically are important in our DNA, and that is required the businesses to know that how to design the operations. So let me give you one example and ask a question. That there are two mobile screens I'm showing you. One has pagination, means for every page you have to click 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whereas there is another screen which is infinite scroll. So you can keep on scrolling without stopping. So for example, Instagram. Which one is most common that you see, the left one or the right one? Can you type on the screen? So in the interest of time, let me tell you that infinite scroll is much more common. Now, if you look at infinite scroll, if you write, by the way, when correct, so someone answered the question, correct. So on the right one. Also, you'll realize that pushing your thumb on the upwards is easier and takes less effort than if you drag the thumb down. So all the infinite scrolls are moving upwards. So basically, less effort is swipe up, more effort is swipe down. So by design, companies take these into consideration and put swipe up as a default. So even if many industry leaders are are competing, you will see Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everyone will have infinite scroll in common, and also they move using upwards. So this is a common thing that I wanted to share with you, that behavior is an important part of design of technology as well as operational systems as well as any system. And people are now paying a lot more attention to your behavior, how you behave in designing this technology. And that is where I was mentioning that the new age is coming towards personalization, where they in fact look at when do you scroll, when do you read social media, and I'll then send you the notification at that point of time. So coming back to operations management, I'm going to show you some research examples next to show you the interactions of technology and behavior. So I'll specifically talk about, in interest of time, only three types of research areas that I work on. One is technology-based feedback. The second one is healthcare error reduction. And the third one is human and AI collaboration, which are three of my research areas. So let's talk about the technology-based feedback. So if you drive a car, you will know there are AI technologies available to provide you feedback on your driving behavior. So it will give you a score that will tell you how good you drive. It will also tell you that in which areas, for example, speeding or changing lane or acceleration side, I need to improve. So in general, a lot of people started thinking that this is going to change the driving behavior. So a lot of products, particularly in the insurance sector, started coming up. So when you drive, what you need to do is you have to install an app, and you don't have to do any other thing. Just install the app, and then every time you'll drive, it'll give you a feedback of your trips. So each trip, it'll give you a score. How did you do well? How much you speed? How many times you have put fast brakes? How many times you've accelerated very sharply? So on and so forth. And you'll receive a feedback after the trip completion using the AI. And what happens finally? What is the objective of this one? Your objective is that you'll receive the feedback, you'll analyze the feedback, and you are going to improve. And if you improve, the companies are going to charge you less amount for your premium. This technology is called telematics. And telematics is used in the US by now almost 60% of the young drivers. In UK and Italy, it is even higher. So we started thinking about and asked a very fundamental question. This AI-based feedback, is it going to improve the behavior of drivers or not? So do you think people will basically improve their driving or not? And what do you think? So we wrote a paper analyzing 554 drivers in Singapore. We have observed them for around 6 months. And what we found is astonishing. What we found is basically that in this paper, which is actually captured by Harvard Business Review, and the paper is called, "Does Immediate Feedback Make You Try Less Hard?" So this paper is published in EMSOM, and you'll be able to see, if you go to this article, that instant feedback or these kind of feedback actually hurt your performance. And we found that feedback may have a negative effect, there is a typo, negative effect for drivers, and only people saying very low scores tend to improve. Almost everyone who gets high score tend to drive worse. And that is because driving is very subconscious process. If you actively try to make decisions, it is going to hurt your performance. So after studying this, we started thinking, so what can we do to then improve feedback? Because this technology is used by millions in the world. So we implemented something called a nudge. And nudge is a very famous work done by the Nobel laureate Richard Thaler. And what we did is we took some guidance as well as inspiration from something was done in Iceland. So in Iceland, people actually started printing these three-dimensional cross walk. But by the way, this is not an AI generated image. This is a true image in Iceland where they have printed this illusion-based 3D cross roads. So in these crossings, where the drivers, whenever they see these crossings, they actually slow down. And it has resulted in significant lower risk of accidents on the crossings. And in our case, what we did is we cannot do this painting in all over the place. So what we did, we started using technology to send messages or nudges. And this paper was published in Management Science, and it was done, it was shown using 1100 drivers in a field experiment. So basically these are real drivers. And we worked with them for 6 months and found out the following, that not all nudges work. Nudges that provide consistent feedback. For example, it tells you whether you're good or bad consistently. That only improve your performance. And this was published in this journal, and it also shows that when some feedback doesn't work, we can actually redesign using the behavior of the people by to improve the performance. So here what we did differently is basically we looked at the behavior that people try to compete with themselves more than to others in some settings, and we started nudging them to beat their own score, beat their own performance, and that is how we improved driving behavior. So this is what I wanted to conclude by talking about feedback in driving behavior that we use to improve using our learnings from the human behavior. In the second area that I'm going to talk about now is healthcare error reduction. So in India, there is a huge number of patients for each doctor. Some studies says that for each 4,000 of the patients, there is one doctor, and in some cases, it can go up to 10,000. But the idea is basically because of this high pressure and time is very valuable for these doctors, and we wanted to reduce their errors. So we specifically worked on one particular error, this which was found to be fourth leading causes of hospitalization, and that is called drug interactions. So whenever you fall sick, you go to a doctor. The doctor gives you medication 1, and then it also gives you, let's say, medication 2. Sometimes, if not taken these medications in the prescriptions process carefully, they can actually, instead of healing, you can do harm. So sometimes, for example, it can have severe side effect in the presence of other medication, and it can supercharge activity. Some examples are, for example, aspirin, which is a very common headache drug, with anticoagulant, basically the blood thinner some hypertension patients take, and it can lead to hospitalization or sometimes very severe side effects. And that is what we have understood, that it's an error. It's a potential to put you in hospital. And so we worked with a company in India called HealthPlex, and we wanted to understand this problem. First, we found that if you ask doctors to make mandatory justification, why are you writing medication A with medication 2, they are going to overwrite. And 95%, even if you ask them to put the justification, they are not going to write anything. They will put a dot or a space and then move to the next screen. So what is going to happen, basically, that the mandatory forceful system is not going to work in this case. So understanding this, we designed our own research and worked with Indian doctors. And we actually worked with for around 4 months with 1,700 doctors in India. And we did it a field experiment, and we tried to look at basically, we analyzed 2.8 million prescriptions, and we did one major change. We did not make the drug-to-drug interaction justification mandatory. So basically, we say it's a non-mandatory alert. So let me show you how does the new version looks like. You will see there are 4 things that we have changed. 1, no pop-up window, what you saw in the earlier or the previous screen. So the doctors do not get interrupted. Second, there is no mandatory response required by the doctor. So you see this red, you see this warning signs, and you make a choice that what you want to do. Third, we highlight the cells in red that, look, you are putting something which has interaction. And lastly, we also provide them information about providing by providing the interaction pairs, that which two medications are interacting. So we are making, you can say, easier for doctor to identify their errors and let them choose whether they want to correct it or not. To our surprise, what we found is this information decrease the number of error of the doctors by 8.7%. Now 8.7% is huge. We have analyzed around more than 20 studies, and we found that our study contribute to the highest effect despite being a non-mandatory intervention. And it has the potential to contributing in safer prescriptions, and it outperforms the existing mandatory alert system. The last thing I wanted to also show you is our intervention actually promotes learning. What do I mean by that? The doctors are not correcting the errors, but they actually stop writing errors. So they actually memorize which medicine pair I should not prescribe to patients. This is a very important learning from behavior, that when you force someone to do something, there will be resistance. But when you let people make choices, sometimes they are going to accept your choices. And that is what we show in this study. So this is one example that I wanted to share with you. This is a working paper. And I wanted to share with you that when you are designing technology intervention, we have to take into account the behavior of the people, what is the underlying source of improvement that you can anticipate when you're designing it. So design has to be carefully done. So having talked about healthcare, now let's talk about the last part of the talk, which is human AI collaboration. This is talked a lot, that how AI is going to change people, so there are a lot of talks right now, like we need to combine human and AI intelligence to collaborate. AI should not replace but augment human intelligence. And the last and not the least, collaborative intelligence are going to be superior than the individual. So it can outperform in the AI as well as the human. So there are some tasks, for example, finding out location, or finding out a direction of driving. We go and rely completely on AI, for example, the Google map. But at times, for example, if we have to take a cab, we will think about whether I should take this or not, or which we can sometimes be taking our own decisions that, you know what, if I have to reach the airport, or I have to drive the Jakarta traffic to reach the airport from, let's say, BRI, how do I go there? Or from Tangerang, if I go in the rainy season, how do I reach the Soekarno-Hatta airport? So we have to be very sometimes what happens, basically human takes over, sometimes the AI take over. But one of the questions that kept in our mind, that how can we keep the humans in the loop? And I collaborated with eminent faculty members all over the world, from Ariana, who is from London Business School, Panish from INSEAD, Yash is from HEC Lausanne. So we started working on one particular theme of problems, that will AI replace human, and under what condition it will not replace. So what we did is, our first publication was done with Journal of Management, which is called Human AI Ensembles. So how do we make humans and AI collaborate together? So here we created 2x2 metrics, and sorry, I'm coming from consulting background, so I find it very easy to communicate with a 2x2, and Radian will notice that this has been, he has seen a lot of 2x2 and we were working together. So if on the x-axis, I put data availability, and I'm summarizing the paper in like one of the simplest way. And then on the y-axis, if you look at complexity of the models, we realize that when the data availability is very high, and even the complexity of the models is low or medium, AI is going to outperform the human. So basically, AI is going to replace those tasks where the data availability is extremely high and complex models are required. But when the data availability is low and we don't need very complex models, actually humans alone can make decisions. For example, immigration decisions for military, these are some of the areas, or making some laws, or making some welfare decisions for masses where we have low data availability. humans are going to be very much valuable, and their tacit knowledge of the past is going to be extremely useful. But the interesting things comes in when we need complex model, data is low. For example, how much should I produce for a new product? Or if I have Matahari store, let me try to figure out how do I engineer the design, for example, in areas where I have never been there. So it's a very new area. We are opening a new store. It's a new product. So there, human and AI will put together, work together, and they will beat human and AI individually. So basically, these are the areas where human and algorithm are going to have an ensemble which will outperform both human and AI. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about our working paper, where we are talking about how we can make the human manager most relevant. So in this case, we realize that the ensembles can be formed in different ways. So don't think of ensemble as a very complicated thing. Think of them as a decision-making process. So if human and AI make decisions together and separately, individually, independently, and then we combine the two, this is called parallel process. And there could be sequence. So the human will make the first decision, AI will make the second decision, and that will be the final decision. Or the AI will make the first decision, so he will take the input of the AI as then for making its decision, and makes the final decision. So these are called sequential ensemble and reverse sequence ensemble. So in this process, what we found in this working paper, that sequential ensemble where human uses its tacit knowledge first and gives the outcome as an input to the AI, the performance of that system increases significantly and outperform other forms of ensemble. So what we are talking about here is that the sequence of decision making matters. And in this way, if a human comes with good tacit knowledge, it is going to predict better than random guess. They will be valuable in decision making. So the last problem I want to talk about is in human algorithm ensemble is I talked about an autonomy a lot, that if you provide autonomy, people accept suggestions, but autonomy can sometimes backfire. And that is where I wanted to show you in this study. So in this study, the very simple on the left side, we make prediction ourselves. So that is your prediction and then AI prediction. And we ask people to put weights on the prediction of AI, and the total weights, the combination of these two will be the final prediction. What we found that if you let people do this, people will always try to go near the middle point. So irrespective of what kind of AI you are using, accurate or not accurate, they do not pay attention to the accuracy of the AI and always go and give equal weightage or a little bit higher weightage to AI, but almost very close to the middle to them, their predictions and AI predictions. And this actually leads to not being able to make more accurate predictions. So we are writing a paper on bounded autonomy, where we say that if an human makes error, we should not give them full autonomy, but bound the autonomy. So it should not be able to give zero weight to the AI. And for example, in this case, 0 to 30 is not allowed, and the humans are only allowed from 30 to 100. So this is why we call it bounded autonomy. If you make accurate predictions, this gray area will become smaller and smaller. If you make less accurate, it'll become bigger and bigger. So basically, whosoever is more accurate is going to get more weightage in the overall prediction task. So our research shows that bounded autonomy improves performance in prediction tasks. So what we are saying is autonomy is not a right or a privilege. It has to be used with some caution, and basically bounded autonomy is one particular solution, and which basically keeps the agency of the human, as well as it also helps you to make better decisions. And second, due to bounded autonomy, humans are more sensitive to AI accuracy. So if the AI is more accurate, they put more weight. If it is less accurate, they put less weight. So basically, they put more weight to accurate agent. And this is a fantastic finding in terms of how do we balance between autonomy and accuracy of the system. So in summary, basically, I wanted to close my talk in interest of time, so that we have to deeply understand how to use technology and AI in the design process itself, and consider how it is going to interact with human behavior, managers, us, researchers, students, everyone. And last and not the least is we have to test it in the field and iterate. We have to think about no solution is the final solution. So to keep iterating. And we researchers and you students and everyone who is interested in data has a lot of important role to play. So I will conclude my talk here, and it was an absolute pleasure to be here. If you have any questions, because we started today scratching the surface of this human behavior and how it interacts with technology, if you're more interested, since we are a QR code generation, or you are a QR code generation, I put my QR so that you can see my website. And you can feel free to write to me if you have any questions, or if you are interested in the in doctoral studies or PhD programs, which is fully funded by MOE. And looking forward to having more interactions. So I'll stop here, and I wanted to thank you, the organizers, for having me. And Radian, I just wanted to share with you that we had a Global Connect fellowship, and we had a lot of Indonesian students this time participated, and it was an absolute pleasure to interact with them. So with this, I will stop my talk, and I'm looking forward to your question and answers.
Thank you, Doctor, for the presentation. It sounds a bit like coming out of a movie, science fiction movie, but this one is true science, not the pseudoscience that we always hear. So for the audience, I give you now the question and answer session for probably more or less 50 minutes. So I give you the stage. If you want to pose a question, or you want to have a discussion with Dr. Vivek, you can directly raise your hand or write on the chat section, and we will read it for you. While waiting, Doctor, can I ask you something?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I always intrigued by a lot of statements saying that this AI thing has serious consequences on our well-being as a human, or it has a serious impact to humanity as a whole. Do you agree on that statement? And to what extent, basically, AI can do harm to humanity?
It's a very complex problem, and to be very honest, I'm not an authority on it, but let me try to answer from my perspective. So in terms of technology, look how connected we have become using this technology. So we are connecting to each other. Next month, I'm having some Korean students coming here who told me that they cannot speak in English very fast or can understand. We are using technology to interpret in the real time to have a conversation with them, so that we can run a class in English, but they will learn in Korean. So I see a lot of positive things in Indian doctors as I shared with you, or in terms of drivers, we are seeing a lot of benefit of using this technology to help them make better decisions. But the problem is that it also has harm. For example, let's say there are books you can read, one particular book called Hooked. If you have time, you can have a look at it. That how we build traps for human to spend a lot more time on social media and feel very much depressed at times when you don't get like, and how basically you are used as a worker. For example, look at YouTube. YouTube is free, but you are the worker. You are generating content. You are the one who is watching. You are telling YouTube that which one is liked, which one is not liked, which is good and bad. So you're doing a lot of work, and then you're also watching the ads for them, and then also clicking at times. So there is always, I think it's a double-edged sword. So we have to be very careful about what it can do good and what it can harm. Every technology I have seen so far has two sides, and we have to be very careful about that. So education is very important. For example, I was talking about this infinite scroll, right? If you know it is addictive, if you know that reels are addictive or the shorts are addictive, don't start watching at middle of the night. You will lose sleep, you'll watch a lot more. And when you're down particularly, one of the ways to do is put your phone away, because you may sometimes get to watch a lot more than you're required to watch. Yeah, but I think overall, I have a very positive sense of technology. that it can do excellent. For example, you can, how much you are consuming, how many times you're watching television, or how much you are working, how many you are working out, all those things also you can do. So I really like it. There are some questions so on the screen, but I hope that I overall answered this question. There is no yes or no answer to this, unfortunately. It's like any knife in your kitchen. You can cook food, or you can actually harm someone. So you have to be trained well.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So it all depends on us to how to have a positive perspective on how to apply those sciences and tools. Yeah. Any further question?
There are two questions on.
I think there are. Yeah, there are some questions there. Can you open it? The committee, I cannot see it now. Can you open the chat session for me? Yes, can you read that, Professor? So I'm gonna read it for you.
Sure.
Hello.
So I've received a question on AI has the potential to replace humans in many routine and analytical tasks, but has limitations in terms of creativity, empathy, and ethical judgment. Is it right, sir? What do you think about that? So I think this is a very important question. So always remember, AI is going to only replace humans where the task is repetitive, and the limitations, it has limitations in terms of creativity, empathy. So for example, if you want to make a movie, sometimes you want to watch a movie made by a human being, but they use a lot of technology nowadays, right? In terms of, and I'll give you one specific example which will be opening your eyes, that in therapy, there are a lot of AI therapists now. It is very, so there is an app, I'll tell you, it is called 7 Cups of Tea. It has been there for a very long time. Initially, it used to, you can talk to only human listeners, but now it has replaced with AI listeners. And I am actually myself building an LLM tool to bring empathetic tool or empathy tools, or bringing mental health cost down for masses, where you cannot, where the charges of talking to a therapist is very high. So I'm working on tool myself. So I can tell you that these are the areas where despite there are limitations, there are huge scope for AI to help you, to particularly bring down the services, bring down the cost of the services as well as. But if you talk about ethical judgment, right? So if the rules are very clear, you can always make it a routine task. Let's say, do not go to this area, or do not write numbers, or do not copy. But if you are talking about ethical judgment, where it's very difficult to detect and it is very difficult to find out. For example, we work on a paper where we look at delivery drivers not being able to put or are not delivering the goods. In that cases, we had to basically use technology to find out who are doing such things and how do we detect those. So I hope I answered this question, but I feel that there is no replacement, I feel so, or a pure replacement in complex, as well as where we need some things, what you mentioned, creativity, empathy, and ethical judgment. These are complex problems to solve, and we will need humans' tacit knowledge regarding that. But unfortunately, where we have lots of data and tasks are very routine, it is going to be automated. So I hope I answered the first question. I have second question. Hello, Prof. Do you use AI in writing research articles? What can be the extent an individual should use it? Let me tell you a very honest answer. Writing research articles has 4 components. Reading papers, which AI cannot do it for you. Writing, definitely they can do it for you, but you have to tell them, like, you have to copy edit and what do you want to write. The third one is analyzing. For the analysis part, you have to tell AI what to analyze, what is the dependent variable, what is the independent variable. And I do a lot of experimental research, so I need to also design the experiments. So AI seldom helps me there. It may be used, but I think we have to use our own knowledge there. And the last part is critical thinking. What is a research question I want to spend next 2.5 years of my life to answer? Because if you publish in 50 journals, for example, that is what we target. So top 50 journals in the world, we have to work for 2.5 to 3 years on each project. So we have to critically think what I want to work on, which can be publishable as well as enjoyable. So giving this reading, analyzing, critical thinking, and writing becomes a very small part. And most of the time I use for copy editing or rephrasing, but I will never use it as it is. So what I will do is I will rephrase, because I'm not a native English speaker like you. So what will happen that you can use it to rephrase how English should be written, and then edit it to your own style. Or sometimes I give the idea, take the prompt, but I completely change it to my taste. So sometimes I do ideation a lot. How much should we use? So I come from NTU, and NTU is a policy that you can use it, but you have to declare it. So you have to be very honest about it, that I have used generative AI. So for example, in my class, students can use to write a report, but they have to tell me that they have used it. And by the way, AI written documents and people who put their effort in writing their own article, you will see wherever there is effort, it will show up. And there is no harm in using it like a tool. But you should not replace as a student with an AI that I give you a question and you send it to a AI and put the answers there. Because I wanted to also share with you one paper from Hamza Bastani recently, which shows that people, those who use AI to work on their homework, their learning processes, they learn a lot less than people, those who are not working. So people basically use AI as a crutch. So once you remove the crutch, people fall down and they do, in fact, worse than they used to do. So you have to be very careful in using these tools. You have to consistently learn throughout your life. And at the pace that things are changing, more learning, more experience is going to help you to be a better person, better manager, and a better human being, so that you can do more meaningful work and find meaning in your work. So I'll stop here. If you have more questions, we can take it offline.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answers. Thank you.
Any further questions? I hear some lady there. Please, if you have a question directly,
Hello
you can.
all.
Yes.
This is Dr. Ruhi from India. I had the question. The previous question was posted my way. So thank you for the answer, Dr. Vivek and the organizers. Thank you.
Hi, Ruhi. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. If it is satisfactory, if it is nothing else, I thank you one more time to Dr. Vivek for sharing this insightful area as well. So hopefully everybody can get valuable lessons for today's session and can be applied in your daily life successfully. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Thank you very much for the attention from all the participants. So I'm afraid this is the end of the session 2 and the end of the presentation for today. So I'm going to give back the time to our Master of Ceremony to lead our way again. Thank you very much. See you again. I'm Aditya signing out. Bye.
Thank you, Aditya. Bye.
All right, we have passed plenary session 1 and 2, also filled with discussion. They are very insightful. Thank you for the keynote speakers. Thank you for the moderators. It was a very nice discussion and very insightful. But before we're going to the next session, we would like to take photos together. For every participants, every attendance, please, you can open up your camera so that we can take picture with all the people. Okay, everyone ready? We're going to take picture in 3, 2, 1. Okay, one more time.
Can we do like freestyle? Like,
Yeah, sure.
don't be like too stiff.
So every attendance, you can just okay, in 3.
Okay.
Okay, one more group photo. Okay. All right, thank you for everyone. Okay, we're going to move further to the next event, which is the core event of this agenda, which is the presentation in each parallel session. And the session, participants are asked to enter the breakout room that has been distributed by the committee through the program booklet. For participants who get the first session, please enter the breakout room that has been determined. If participants seems difficult to find the breakout room, the committee will invite the participants to enter to the breakout room. Or if the participants still difficult to find the breakout room, you can just chat the committee through the WhatsApp group. And for the participant who get the second session, please stay in the main room and wait for the session time. For participants who get a presentation session tomorrow, you can take your own time after this and come back to the main room at 5 p.m. more or less. The committee will inform you through the WhatsApp group if the plenary session if the parallel session has ended. So we will wait for all the participants to enter the breakout room.